What's up, Cyber World? Welcome to the Ash Said It Show. Yes, I am your host, Ash Brown. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. We appreciate all of the love and support. AshSaidIt.com. If you want to check out more about our blog, more on the different episodes of the podcast, you can check them out today, right now, at AshSaidIt.com. Over 1,800 episodes and over 500,000 streams worldwide. None of this is possible without you guys, so I thank you so very, very much. Today, we have a well-esteemed guest with us. She is a former television anchor. She's got over 30 years of helping people to communicate on a way better scale. The multifaceted Jane Hanson. Hey, Jane.
Hi. Wow. Did you say 1,800 podcasts you've done?
1,800 episodes. It's insane.
That is impressive. I'm telling you right now. I love it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's definitely been a long time coming. The show's been in the works for a little over 7 years, coming up on 8 years next year, actually. It's been quite the haul, Jane. But we're not here to talk about me, Jane. We're talking about you today.
Okay, then.
We're talking about you today, Jane. So Jane, where in the world are you today? Because I know that you're always you're trotting around the states. You're maybe in and out of the country. Where are you today?
I am in South Florida. I literally just left Miami Beach. I'm a little bit further north right now, but I'm telling you, Miami is one happening spot.
Oh my goodness!
It's a really interesting place, and I've just come to know it a little bit better than I did in the past, and it's impressive. Recently, I met the hot mayor of Miami.
Oh, really?
He is good eye candy, I'll tell you that. But I also worked stuff with his wife, so
okay. There you go. Okay, all right. Nothing wrong with that. We can always look. We can admire some of God's handiwork. That's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely can.
All right, Jane. So you've got a lot of experience under your belt. Your resume is quite impressive. So from your experience in the industry till now, what would you say are the 3 core elements to effective communication?
So I started out I do coaching work now and help people really learn how to communicate well. But when I became a television broadcaster right out of college, and I graduated early, it's all about communicating. And so one really you have to think about, how am I telling my story or other people's stories? Because as a journalist, that's what I did. And as a coach now, I help other people tell their stories. So there's 3 key things, and you really have to think about all of them. Who am I talking to? Meaning, who's my audience? And you want to tailor up everything you say so that it matches your audience. Because you're not going to talk about something to a 3-year-old like you would to a 23-year-old, like you would to a 53-year-old. So you got to tailor it up. And then secondly, what are you saying, and how are you saying it in a way that's really going to resonate? And so many people have, we're all complex human beings. So we have to figure out, how do we take our narrative or our story and make it so that it will appeal and that it will be succinct and clear. Because you can talk all you want and you can throw 50 million different ideas out there, but nobody's going to listen to that many. Yeah. So you have to be very, very clear about what you're saying. Gotcha. And then the third thing is, how do you use your body to tell the story? Meaning your voice, your gestures, your facial expressions, everything about us has to be in sync. I know you've seen this, where you'll have somebody that's telling you some story, but their eyes are roving all over the place, and you think to yourself, I think this person's lying. Or, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So your body has to line up with your words. And so I spend a lot of time on that, because I think it's super important. If you think about it logically, we've only had a spoken language for about 160,000 years. But man and woman has walked on Earth for, and depending on who you believe, 2 million, 14 million, whatever million years. So all those years before we had a spoken language, we communicated through our body. And we still do. We just don't think about it that often.
Right.
So I want people to be conscious of what they're saying, not with their words, but what they're saying with how their body is in motion. And it's really important to think about that.
When people come to you as far as coaching goes,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say is one of the biggest, I wouldn't say necessarily say mistake, but what is the biggest issue that you see a lot of people have when it comes to like public speaking?
They're afraid. In fact, there's a term for the fear of public speaking. It's called glossophobia. And that's, look, this has happened to me. It's probably happened to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you're going to stand on a stage, or maybe you're going to stand up at a big meeting, or maybe you're, at your kid's school and you're going to talk to the PTA or whatever it is, but you start to get really nervous. Your stomach starts to roll. You get butterflies, you're sweating, all that stuff. That's what we call glossophobia. And everybody has it at some point in their life. Right. And it's estimated that something in the neighborhood of 78% of people have it in enough of a debilitating fashion that it truly affects their ability to function at those moments when they're called upon. It's even when you're in school and you're called upon, the teacher calls on you and you're like, what am I going to do now? So getting past that fear, and there's a ton of different ways to do it, right. But the most important thing is to be prepared and to know what you're going to say. Because if you're ready and you know what you're going to talk about and you have it formulated in your head in a really kind of concrete fashion, right. Then it'll be so much easier. And then when stuff happens, then you're prepared and you can get past it. Preparation, I think, is really super key.
Now, Jane, we're still dealing with this pandemic thing. It's something that we've had to adjust to in one way or another. So we're not having nearly as many workshops and seminars happen in our different cities. What is a way that people can still connect with you as far as maybe virtual coaching? Is that something you offer?
Oh, yeah. I do a lot of that. And obviously, my business changed overnight, just like everybody else's did.
Right.
And because I had been doing everything one-on-one, or not one-on-one, in person, and now I had to go virtual. But I'd already been doing some things virtually because I work with people all over. Right. I mean, and from just about every imaginable situation. And so I had global clients, and I'd already been doing some virtual stuff with them. So I knew Zoom before most of the world knew Zoom. Right. But what I have done a lot of coaching on is helping people learn how to use something like a Zoom or a Google Hangouts or Microsoft, whatever it's called, how to use them more effectively. Right. So there are some tricks to it, because I just talked about body language, but it's hard to have really effective body language if all you can see is your head and your chest. So we have to think then more about expressions, a little bit of gestures. And because we all gesture so much in our communications, you can even gesture, but you can do it below the screen so that you're still getting the emphasis that, like I'm doing it right now as I'm talking to you. Right. You can get the gestures to add the emphasis and stuff. But nobody has to see your hands. It's fine. It's just fine. And good eye contact is really crucial. Like, make sure you're looking up into that little camera lens that's on your laptop or whatever, or your phone or whatever you're using. That's really important. Yeah. And yeah, we lost a lot in the pandemic about good communication and just the ability to shake somebody's hand or give them a hug or smiling with those darn masks. It was so difficult. Once we got released from our homes, then we couldn't see anybody smile. And I don't know about you, but like I spent half my life smiling at people. I love it. And smiling is so universal, and it's so important. And it's the one thing that honestly you can't screw up. Yeah. If you smile, it changes everything, right?
It does. It changes the whole vibe. It's like your hello. That's your visual hello to someone else is a smile. Yeah.
Right. So use that in the Zoom stuff. I mean, smiles. But I don't know about you, but I just felt like I felt so isolated and lost when we couldn't smile at people because we couldn't see their mouths. And also when we couldn't go out like we used to. I mean, the first time I ever went someplace, like the first time I went back to a restaurant, I wanted to hug everybody in the restaurant, and I'm like, they're going to think I'm cuckoo. B, they're going to think I'm a big spreader. So I restrained myself. So we lost the art of having conversation. Oh, you know what else? The accidental conversation in an office or on a street corner or in a store or maybe picking up your kids from school or whatever it is. You have those conversations with people that lead to something. Like maybe they tell you, some great new place to go to get a sandwich, or maybe they tell you about some wonderful program for kids, or maybe they'll talk about, maybe there's an idea that floats around in your office where you can talk about, oh my God, that's something I can go do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great addition to my, to the project I'm working on. And that we lost completely.
Yeah.
And that, I think, just was sinful how we had to lose out on that. I mean, we're getting it back, but at the same time, it's something that I try really hard to connect with people on every level possible now, so that we can bring that back. But I was never sure, should I shake somebody's hand?
Right.
And there were people there that I know relatively well. I'm kind of like, oh, should I hug them? I mean, what should I do? I didn't really know what to do. And neither did they. So you're kind of standing there. That's that awkwardness. You're standing there going, So my suggestion, just from a communication standpoint, is to say, hey, how are you doing? I'd love to give you a hug, but I don't know if you want that.
Yeah.
I've been vaccinated. I got the booster. You want to do a fist bump? You want to do an elbow tap? Whatever you want. I'm cool.
Right.
So I found that if I just was open and honest about that, it really helped. But whatever they want, whatever anybody feels, it's all fine.
Right.
You don't have to feel uncomfortable because you're uncomfortable. You don't have to. It's your choice. You do what's right for you with no judgment. That's the way I feel about it.
Absolutely. Now, Jane, you also have a video course that is out. Somebody was telling me about that.
It is, well, you can see it on something called Gen Connect University. It also will be on LinkedIn Learning. And it's a course that shows, because never in our lifetimes have we discovered how important video is than during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That it became a real source of information. It became an unbelievable source of communication. There's another statistic. I think it's that 87% of people say that they learn better from watching videos. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, and I know you have many women listening to this show that possibly have that entrepreneurial sweet spot. I love working with those people. They're so cool. This video is really, this video series is really designed to help them create videos for themselves that they can put on social media and that sort of thing, because it's a great way to talk about products, talk about their services, talk about, you create videos for a number of different reasons. One is because you've got some product or some service to talk about, but sometimes you have opinions to talk about, or you want to persuade somebody about a certain point of view. I talk about all of that stuff in these videos, and then I've got real practical advice about how you should talk and how you should put your messages together, and even what you should wear, depending upon what kind of audience you want to attract. And then where's the best place to put the videos? It's really interesting. I just do a deep dive into all of that. And I think, hopefully, it's something that people will find extremely useful.
Absolutely.
And it's fun.
Yes. I love learning new things. And Jane, what is the best way for them to connect with that series?
Well, I think perhaps the best way is going to be to go to my website, which is JaneHanson, HANSON.com, because that's a place where you'll find it. You can also find it on all of my social media, which I've got a lot of.
That's important. That also goes with the online persona, so we get it.
And you can just Google me and it'll pop up. So it's all good. I think, for me, it's really fun to share this information, because I think people can really use it. They can take away some good tips from it that may help them. For me, I love women helping women. It's really a big deal and really important to me. I've been so upset during the pandemic about about the number of women who left their jobs or were forced to leave their jobs, or who had to make a decision between taking care of their kids and working. And we all know how that turned out. Yeah. And I just feel like we've got to get their contributions back into our society.
Yeah.
And it's really, really important that we do that. So anything we can do to help them is major.
Jane Hanson, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you.
You are very welcome. I love what you're doing.
Thank you. Just trying to put some good vibrations out there, you know. There's just so much happening, and we need some good people like yourself just putting out some good vibrations and helping people to be their best self, you know, in life and work and everything else. So I love it.
I agree. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
You're the best.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. And thank you to each and every one of you guys for all of your love and support. Keeping in mind, anyone to tell you that you can't do what you want to do. You look them square in the face, you tell them, don't believe me. Just watch. Watch what I do. Watch me make it happen. Watch me make history. That's what we're doing this for, the history books. Social media is nice, but real life is so much better. Until next time, you guys.